state by state, they started making those removable aluminum beverage container lids illegal.
We did have 2 complaints, which are very funny, and I say this all the time. We had one complaint that a guy, I don't know if he emailed or called in, he said the lid was basically open, was drinking out of a pint glass, and he said whenever he's driving down the street, it spilled all over his car. So we had that. Then we had the other one that when he cracked it open, his kids would wake. Because it was wacky.
Welcome to the BrewedAt podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin. I'm joined by Keith Maynard, Ryan Hershman Keith Maynard.
That's
I
up.
just asked you guys 3 times in a row. We're here now, though. So you guys are with Sly Fox. So if you're not aware of who Sly Fox is, you must be living under a rock. You know, you guys are 29 years old. One of the larger, most respected regional breweries, you know, not just in PA, but in the whole, you know, Mid-Atlantic region.
That's very nice.
Yeah, kind of, you know, we had just talked about this before, but, you know, Troegs, Victory, kind of you guys all kind of came out at the same time. And not essentially a German brewery, but definitely German-focused beers.
German-inspired.
German-inspired lagers. And, you know, you guys all are kind of this larger regional post. So, I mean, I would kind of put you guys in the same, you know, category as all those places. And, you know, you guys are in Pottstown, Phoenixville, now in Pittsburgh, all these other places.
2 spots in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we got 2 spots in Pittsburgh now. Thank you for the very kind words and to be to
bring you around.
Yeah, we could definitely use you. You know, hit accounts every day, and you know, I don't even gotta say, look, this guy. But
well, the beauty of this is like you don't have to go to accounts. You just put it out on the internet.
That's right.
Oh yeah. We made 5,000 account calls today.
Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, by the way, I being personally based out in Pittsburgh, if you guys have any any interest in any Western PA breweries, I definitely have a lot of friends out that way too. So
we will. I think just like the same thing as kind of breweries are doing. You know, this is, you know, it's kind of the same thing. You're establishing your brand. So like we are reaching out. We have done some like regional places, but I think for the time being, we want to focus on Philly. That's not like we're post everybody.
That's what
else,
we're doing too.
But I think, you know, at least for the first couple months, we want to focus on Philly before. And you guys clearly did that also, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I am from Pittsburgh and definitely like homer when it comes to like the sports teams and everything. But I mean, I got to call it like I see it. The beer culture in Philly is, you know, being able to come out here and learn a little bit about it and see it. It is, I mean, I think it's like, probably the best in the world. I mean, if not one of the best places in the world. So
I know. I'm always in the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess with that being said, you know, like, we know Sly Fox. I want to talk about you guys individually. You know, part of this podcast is not just talking about the brewers, but talking about, like, the people that we have on here. So I guess, can we get into you first? And
Absolutely.
Kind of get to you, that'll kind of transition to the whole Pittsburgh thing. But can you just kind of give an introduction about how you got here?
I got into beer organically. I worked as a driver at a Wrigley for years, 4 years. I love that company. I love everything they do. I hope to hear that too.
Are they your distributor?
They are.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened organically. I got off the truck and I did sell beer at Muller for a little bit. I was picked up out of there by Sly Fox. That was 2018. And that's when I met this guy. He was only with the company for less than a year.
A couple months, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been with them since 2018. I took a little break to try some stupid whiskey thing that somebody really wanted me to go to, but I did have fun there too. But the brewery needed me. I needed the brewery. It's kind of a good reason to come back. So I come back late last year. Actually, it was a year ago last month. I've never even celebrated, but it's been awesome since. So I'm the host of the goat races. I'm the Philadelphia market manager. I used to cover Delaware and New Jersey. That was a good time. But now I'm mostly focused back on Philadelphia, which is like beef.
Cool. What about you?
So I my start in beer was a little bit different. I actually got a job, pretty much as a clerk at a distributor in Pittsburgh in the North Side area, which is really close. We were about 2 miles away from like the stadiums and like what's called the North Shore, where like Steelers play and the casinos down there, a lot of event venues and stuff. So that place also serviced did a bunch of tavern service as well. And so
What was that called?
It was called Kelly's Beer, and they existed for 59 years, from 1960 until 2019. And I got to work there for almost 10 years. At a certain point, I just had a curiosity, like, what are in all these boxes and kegs that were moving around? And, learned about like the Cicerone program and beer judge program, and just took an interest specifically in craft beer. And like being in the business at that time, like I remember, when certain craft beers started to become more popular in Pittsburgh, it was really different. Like, why would these places willingly pay like $80 more for a keg than like this, all the stuff they always buy is, $80 cheaper or whatever. So it was just definitely a point of curiosity for me. I actually started there before I was of drinking age. So I was,
That doesn't mean you were drinking.
No, I
Just observing, taking in all the brands.
Yes.
That's one for recommendation.
It definitely got to a point where I just wanted to learn a little bit more. And, being a small business, they were kind enough to kind of show me, some other parts of the business too. And I kind of got to do every job there, as you would at a lot of small businesses, from the sales part to delivery part to warehouse and the paperwork in the office, every little piece of that side of the business, I took an interest to and learned. So in a weird way, I was kind of in the beer business before I actually even had an interest in craft beer. And I think that's like probably gives me a kind of a unique perspective on it. And ironically, I didn't go to Penn State, but one of my best friends did. A lot of people from Sly Fox are Penn State alumni, including the founders are alumni-owned. I think Sly Fox was actually the first alumni-owned, Penn State alumni-owned brewery in Pennsylvania. I know there's like a bunch of them. So it might be worth double-checking, but 95, there was 150 breweries in the whole country in 95.
Yeah, 95 is the year before Victory. Like 29 years is very, very old. Yeah. And we had talked to John from Philadelphia Brewing, and they're like 19 years old or something. Like that is a super long time. 29 years is like, you guys were before people even knew what craft beer was.
Yep. Yeah, and what's cool too is just, the Sly Fox story, which I know I would definitely like to cover.
Yeah.
And that was really organic how, we got to the point where we're at. But, ultimately I had an opportunity I had an interest in sales and had an opportunity to join Sly Fox. They recognized that Pittsburgh was a place that was a good place for them to potentially grow. And I was their first Western PA salesperson. And we got a great distribution network out there as well. And, me having that kind of unique perspective on the distribution network in Pittsburgh, which as I learned, like it was my whole world, but as I've traveled now, learning that Pittsburgh does it a little bit of a different way. It's very unique.
What's different? Is it more homey?
So yeah, a simplification I would call it, like we kind of have a fourth tier, which does exist a little bit in certain other places.
You guys talk to Stills?
Yeah.
Fourth tier.
Yeah, and where in Pittsburgh it's unique, where it's like most taverns are serviced by those that indirect tavern distribution business, and I think that
So there's a couple larger wholesalers out there, then they sell to the smaller like neighborhood.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, but
as compared to here, it's mostly direct. Overwhelmingly more direct. A lot of the indirect accounts that I see, I can't even keep track. I know how they got their beer, where they got their beer, how much beer they're getting. There's been accounts I walk in that, I've been pouring my beer for weeks, and I just walk in there and I came here because. So it's a little different out there because the tavern Ds, you have to be more like in the network to know like, hey, this person is. You have to talk to distributors more often. Mm-hmm. Whereas out here, which is a lot more, like I said, direct.
Line of sight.
I can go right to the rep and talk to, right to the retail after that. He's got a lot more ways of getting around it.
Yeah, I mean, the details can probably kind of become boring after a while. But the point is, you can see how a brewery coming from, the outside, must have seen value in somebody
there's
working
just
in
this
that.
black box out there that they don't really understand. But you've been in the black box, so you know how it works out there.
Yeah.
So you can kind of.
And as far as they're concerned, the owners and the founders, there's still a lot of black boxing out there. We're trying to get it everywhere at this point.
Yeah.
Mostly Pennsylvania. Like, we have 6 spots in Pennsylvania, but these guys are hungry. They're great business owners, and they know what they're doing. That's why we've been around for 29 years.
Yeah.
That's why you got, 2 of the best in the state.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really appreciate how diversified Sly Fox has always been since I've been around, and some of the pieces of the business that we've been able to add since I've been here. We do a decent bit of contract business, which I'll admit, being in the sales world, that's a component I don't understand. I don't fully understand, like, why. I get it, but like, it's, there's a lot of other breweries that offer the same thing. So it seems extremely competitive, and we've always been able to do that. Probably just, a lot of because of our age, and we were able to add infrastructure into the brewery ahead of time, compared to the lifespan of some of the other breweries out there. So, having the 6 pubs now, and I think what Pittsburgh kind of demonstrated for us, we've grown Pittsburgh, I think, every year over the last 6 years, maybe 7 years. Every year's been, we've sold more beer out there, and I think it's been really well received. It's, for us, it's just really all about the beer, and to be able to have that translate, and I think to be also part of elevating Pittsburgh's beer scene and their understanding and appreciation. One of the biggest differences is just the German styles, the value in craft lagers, and there's just not as much there is not quite as much appreciation out in Pittsburgh as it is out here.
Yeah,
but it's come a long way.
That's been different. The last couple of you guys had you and Robot.
Yeah.
I said lagers were happening again. We couldn't be in a better position. We've been making this beer for, over 2 decades now. And the Philadelphia scene is blowing up, as you can probably tell. People are getting used to the lager style, what we call beer-flavored beer. I think somebody did trademark.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said that's like coming up in Pittsburgh right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think Pittsburgh is, admittedly a little bit biased. I think it's kind of the best of everything out there, where it's not quite as big as like a Chicago or Philadelphia, or definitely not like a New York City, but you have enough infrastructure that it's still a real city.
Pittsburgh just feels like a city. Like when I go there, I'm like, I need to be drinking beer right now. It just feels like a drinking town.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's like every city I ever go to.
Well, it's what's really awesome about the Pittsburgh, the brewing scene is really interesting, because it's, as far as craft goes, it feels like really like decentralized. There's not like one big craft brewery. There's like a ton of like medium-sized breweries. So you really get to see, every different type of style represented, every different, type of tap room thematically. It's definitely best enjoyed, all together. So, and we're really, thrilled that we can be a part of that. And in general, I think what Pittsburgh showed us is that we're a brewery that's relevant everywhere in Pennsylvania. And it's, a lot of people just want to hear, like, when you say you're with Sly Fox, well, where's the brewery at? I always, it's kind of tough when you say there's 6 tap rooms across PA. So I'm trying to think up a good quick spiel to be like, we're relevant. We got 6 pubs all over PA. Feel like we're relevant everywhere.
Yeah, same thing that what you're saying, like, you guys are in the perfect position. Like, now that on-premise is like so much more popular, and like people kind of need to be embracing that culture of the brewery. Like, you guys already have 6 locations that are up and running.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you don't know how to say, like, go to Pottstown, just say, like, right outside Philadelphia. What do you think of that?
Admittedly, I have told people,
Or
you
is
know,
that create like
well, in Pittsburgh, I mean, it just all depends. You know, when you get asked the same question 600,000 times, you start to get creative with your answers. So, you know, depending on the mood I'm feeling, where's the brewery at? It's in Pottstown. And I'll just say it's in a city in PA a little bit east of here. So
Pottstown, isn't that where Yuengling's from?
Always, every time.
And then once I say the name of that town, I can't stop saying the name of that town, especially at beer festivals. They're like, where are you from? I don't even want to say it now, but I'll say it. And
Yeah.
oh, isn't that the oldest brewery in the country? No. Oldest canning on the East Coast. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Sick of your POS system being a POS? POS Specialists, powered by Heartland, have been the experts in cutting-edge POS technology for over 20 years. But they're not scriptwriters, so they let AI write their script. Thirsty for a delicious deal? Feast your eyes on our tastefully crafted point-of-sale system. From order up to cash out, this POS is the coriander spice your brewery needs. It'll have you saying, Brost. Yikes. See? That's why they have a 24/7 live phone support, not chatbots. Their experienced project managers will program your POS, train your staff, so you can just focus on the beer and not worry about the AI. Ask about their free processing options, handhelds, and online ordering. Email kevin@posspecialists.com. Mention BrewedAt and get $500 off your install. Email kevin@posspecialists.com.
We worked with what was the Canarchy, the Oscar Blues. Our original brewer Brian O'Reilly, one of our earlier brewers, Brian O'Reilly, worked directly with Oscar Blues to work on canning craft.
Yeah, I mean, beyond just you guys were the first. I mean, I didn't know that until I started looking into you guys the other day, which is a very cool fact that you guys kind of pioneered this in the area. But you guys, I mean, you guys don't have any more, but the pop tops are like iconic.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I mean, you have to. I mean, they're like...
No, it's rough. It sucks. And a lot of things we lost with COVID. There was aluminum shortage. It wasn't our choice. Crown, Cork, and Seal just basically said, you're the only people that do this, and we can't afford to do it anymore, so we're not going to do it. So.
Yeah, and they're going to come back, and, like, it's going to be like, you guys are going to be like, listen, like, we already did this. So
Yeah. Then people will start buying our beer.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's there's some kind of one of my favorite subjects is beer history and just like some of the weird oddities about it through time, and the reason that lid, the reason we were kind of in that position. Obviously, like there's pretty much like 4 big aluminum can companies in the world, and for us to be their biggest customer is it doesn't make it viable. But why were we their biggest customer? Because that lid, the fact that it was a removable aluminum beverage container lid is what made it actually illegal in like 36 or 37 states. Yeah, and it's the fact that the lid is removable. So like everything on a typical can lid you see now all stays affixed to the can.
Yeah.
And that actually goes back to a litter. It has nothing to do with alcohol. It's a litter law. Yep. And Pennsylvania weirdly never made it like you definitely would think with a background in beer you definitely would think we would definitely be one of the places it would be illegal. But just because of how strict Pennsylvania is, but it is legal here, and actually we were kind of so far behind that we kind of came out ahead with that because one of my just theories is Pittsburgh Brewing, out where I'm from, they co-developed a very popular form of the pop top lids, the pull tab cans that were popular, in like 60s, 70s. And they were a littering hazard. So they would rust and curl up, and people would throw them on the ground, and they were sharp. And so state by state, they started making those removable aluminum beverage container lids illegal. But maybe it's the fact that the most popular one was developed in Pennsylvania. Maybe they never made it illegal. So
it's interesting.
We did have 2 complaints, which are very funny, and I say this all the time. We had one complaint that a guy, I don't know if he emailed or called in, he said, the lid was basically open. It was drinking out of a pint glass, and he said, whenever he's driving down the street, it spilled all over his car. So we had that. Then we had the other one that when he cracked it open, his kids would wake up.
it
it
was
was-
a unique. I miss working like a beer fest using all 360 lids, and the pop of it was so unique and so satisfying. Just doing it all day.
Watching the bubbles dance across the top.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to mention the one of the complaints I heard was when you drink the 360 lids, it's the same opening all the way around, so you don't have to like face the can a certain way when you go to pit. You don't have to
The
look
classic
where
when
to
you're
drink
at a tailgate and it's spilled all over your face.
yeah, so people that were used to drinking like our Hellas, if they went back to regular cans, they said they would spill.
Oh, wow. So just drink more Hellas. That's
Yeah.
a simple solution to that problem. Jeez. No, but yeah, that's a thing of our past. We are innovating though. Like, so we are a 29-year-old brewery. We do have new beers coming. So the raspberry lemonade we just had, which I'll ask you, what do you think?
It's great. It tastes like raspberry lemonade.
I love it. So yeah, that's something we came up with 3 years ago. We worked with Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation for like 7 years there.
Cool.
Raised $46,000.
Wow.
And that's just from the sales of the beer. And we have like pop-up events all summer long. So that's how our innovating basically is. We're always trying to come up with the next thing. We talk to each other for about combined like 7 hours a week, just talking to each other about this stuff. So
And you said this switched from a wheat ale to just an ale?
yeah, so the original recipe was Sly Fox. It's going to be hard to say because I've said this so much, but it was Alex's lemon wheat ale. Yeah.
Yep.
I've said that so much.
Yep.
But it was a lemon wheat ale, so it was a wheat beer. It was based on using the same yeast as our proprietary yeast for our Royal Vice. And we turned it into a lemon zest. There was no sugar. There was no nothing crazy in there. That had a really good run for 3 years. We saw things start to, plateau more or less, so we innovated. I believe raspberry was your idea. You don't take credit for it.
Yeah, I mean, wheat just in general, like not just beer. Like everybody's like, gluten is the devil. Like wheat beers just kind of fell off the last couple of years, and they kind of been replaced by lagers, dark beers, and all those other things.
Yeah, the biggest decision was to switch it from a wheat to an ale. Easier drinking, and like you said, people are avoiding the gluten. Less heavy in the stomach.
Yeah.
Some people say so.
Yeah, that's a unique type of beer for us. I mean, as you can see by all the other beers on the table, they're very like traditional classic styles that have classic interpretations that go back hundreds of years. But, it's not too often that we kind of do something new or something fruit infused that's not based off of like a classic already kind of pronounced style. So when we first did, actually, I think what's interesting about the Alex's raspberry in the last couple of years, I think it's actually a little bit less sweet than the wheat was, the lemon wheat ale. And but it's just, I mean, the wheat, when we've talked about this before, the term wheat beer just doesn't do a good job of actually translating what that beer actually is to people. I think in like, if you look at like focus groups and what buzzwords consumers like and don't, wheat is not something that people are really intrigued by when they see on beverage labels. So
it's like just like rye and all these like buzzwords.
It's not as bad as rye, but it's definitely interesting because it's probably one of the oldest styles of beer that that we still make in modern times. But in all that time, nobody's been able to do a really good job of like, I mean, even if you see some of the better selling wheat beers, sometimes they don't even say, it's not like wheat is plastered all over their label.
No, it's definitely hot or cold. Like some people like them, but I think a lot more people dislike the wheat, so it's just better to stay away from it.
Yeah. I mean, it has its place too. I mean, Allagash has always been a
sure
big staple. And
I appreciate its history, like the fact that yeast is, the flavors derived from yeast, and 95% of the other beers we drink, you don't want yeast to impact the flavor at all.
That's usually a sign of a bad beer.
Yeah. It's a cool time capsule, but like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna buy a 30-pack of wheat beers anytime soon.
No, I mean, wheat beers in the past, like they were fruity or flavored beers, and I think it was kind of like the hazy IPAs, kind of like when they transitioned from the old school IPAs to the hazy IPAs. I think part of that was like a hybrid wheat ale yeast that was kind of like adding these phenols.
It's like I said, beer flavored beer is like the lagers, but people who weren't traditionally used to drinking beer, we're like, oh, I'll taste that thing that tastes like bananas and cloves. You know, I'm drinking a beer like Blue Moon. Was,
Yeah.
When I was like 22 years old, I would go play hockey and just go to the bar and drink Blue Moon because it tastes like bananas or whatever else they put in it. So, yeah, there was a time for that. Now,
and I think it'll come back just like everything else. But,
Yeah.
I mean, like what you guys are saying, most of your beer now is like this traditional German style lager, and you guys are kind of in the perfect position. Like you guys have been perfecting this for the last 29 years, and look, and now everyone wants it.
And that's what we like. I mean, like I said, we innovate. We contract brew a lot of different stuff, so we have the ability to, you know, do that and keep the brewery going.
Yeah.
But so what we like to do is focus on the core, which, especially around now, that's like the trend. Like a lot of breweries are trying different things and new releases every week, and we're mostly like a lot of quantity over. I should say not quality.
No, I know what you're saying. Like, you guys stick to your guns, and you guys don't have to reinvent the wheel every single week. Like, you guys, there's a reason why you guys have been around for 29 years. 'Cause
Exactly.
You guys are, like, doing what you guys know how to do and what you guys are good at, and it's working.
Yeah, and we do limited releases. When we do it, we want more credibility for, you know, the people who appreciate our core beers, our lagers, our pilsners, our wheats, and so that they go out and try that, because it is a world-class, award-winning brewery, and they're going to get that flavor. So.
Yeah, we're definitely so proud that we get to sell beers that we love drinking, and you know, it's not every brewery has its angle or whatever, but I think, you know, obviously with a lot of industry people, you know, preferring craft lagers, we're really, really proud of the fact that we actually get to sell, you know, mostly those types of beers. And I think we just talked about this last week. I think in a couple weeks we'll have 3 different pilsners out at the same time. So that is
steady rotation.
Yeah, that I recognize that.
Have they
not
been
everybody
out
can get
since
away
you
with
guys have been open? I mean, I like, from my understanding of what Sly Fox is like, you guys were open in 1995. I don't know what happened before that, but at some point, early 2000s, Brian O'Reilly came along,
Right.
and kind of took you guys to the next level, from being like a pub brewery essentially to now this regional brewery that like expanded all over the place. And he was, I'm assuming, was a big part of that German beer.
Our founder Pete, who is our founder Pete, who is right now the president of the brewery, is Peter Giannopoulos. So it's Pete and Peter. That's how we.
Are they sons?
Son
and
the
father?
father is Pete.
Okay.
The son is Peter.
Okay.
That's just how we differentiate.
Gotcha.
They're also in the hello, by the way. Pete founded the brewery. He was making amber ales, and you know, he had people coming for his beer over in Phoenixville, but he just worked in the market and was up at I believe New York, where he ran into Brian O'Reilly just at a beer festival in 2000. I guess 2, 3.
Sounds right.
And he wound up being friends with Brian O'Reilly. He asked him to come down and see what he could do at Phoenixville. He made some of the best beer in the world, and he took us to Royersford.
Yeah.
Royersford.
Yeah.
And then production got so heavy. At that point, we left Royersford, went to Pottstown. Brian O'Reilly was our brewer until 2018, 17.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
And he's now the brewer for that other
Mainstay.
brewery. They're still really good friends of the way.
Yeah.
I have some of the Sly Fox clothes I wear are Brian O'Reilly's original Sly Fox
really?
clothes.
That's funny.
Yeah, I get a lot of shit for that.
Yeah. Fortunately, there was a little bit of overlap. We got to work with Brian early on and just pick his brain on stuff. And
yeah, I mean, just in the whole area, you know, like there's like breweries that are big, and then there's like just people that have kind of like transcended, and like he's one of those people where like, I mean, yes, you guys are Sly Fox, but like he's kind of like this other person, like this entity that's like, you know, even if he wasn't at Mainstay, everyone knows who he is.
Yep.
He's a mad genius. I think he's the definition of a mad genius. So he made these recipes, most of which we're drinking tonight. And after he left, it was a good, from what I can tell, from my point of view, it was a good departure. He was friendly with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you guys still sell O'Reilly Stout. So
Yeah. He still shows up to our events. He still gets dinner at Pottstown all the time.
That's
we
cool.
see him all the time. He's the man, and he's been friends ever since. So it's been a good ride.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was it's just the timing of it was, I think, good too, because we had some really talented people that worked under Brian, and everybody kind of got to
like Tim.
move up, and they were able to kind of bring some fresher ideas, and what's cool about making a beer like Helles or Pikeland for, I guess multiple decades at this point is you can kind of fine tune those beers over time. And, to me, that's craft, like if it's harder to be consistent with a beer over years. And you might have.
We talk about like even Bud Light, all these other Budweiser, Yuengling, all these beers have changed. Like everyone talks about they're the most consistent thing over and over. Budweiser now does not taste the same as Budweiser 20 years ago. And 20 years before that, it tastes like way different. All these things change. You're using raw materials. You're going with the the flow of consumers, like what they want to drink, and like things change.
And we're proud to say that the recipe is still exactly the same no matter the cost, and that's as a sales team that's really one of our with a lot of breweries in PA right now.
Yeah.
One of our biggest selling points is that the same Helles you drank 10 years ago, he's coming in a keg or a can right to your lips. So, and that's, I should specify, that's very, very important to the brewery is that quality control is our biggest thing. You want clean beers and want they test the first and last can of every batch, and if it doesn't match up to what they're used to, it doesn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a benefit of just being old is we bought, we took mortgages out for this, expensive badass equipment a long time ago. And, we have access to that now. So that's the benefit to look forward to when you're, at this stage at, almost 30 years old is, we really try to get the most and take advantage of the fact that we got, the best equipment you can get. The brew house is a fully automated 50 hectoliter BrewCon that was installed, I think, by guys from Germany and engineers kind of custom built it for us.
It was also good for them too. They were trying to showcase what they can do in America, and you were one of the people they tried in this system. If you ever get out to you're coming to the road races.
Yeah.
We'll give you a special tour.
Yeah, I need to see it. I actually have not been to your production facility. Do you guys get to see any of the production stuff? I have some questions. Do you guys? You guys are a German brewery. You say it's 50 hectoliters. Are you guys doing stuff like in the metric system and everything?
No, it gets converted pretty early on.
Okay.
So, but that's I guess more. If you're going to say you have a BrewCon, it makes more sense to.
He wasn't prepared for you.
No, I mean it is a 50 hectoliter system. When I was at Flyno, there was like some stuff that we used in the metric system. When I was at Victory, I was there twice. The first time, everything was metric. Everything was German. There was even some instructions in German.
In terms of volume, it's always easier.
It is. It's so much. I like the metric so much better. And now, they're transitioning, I guess, like down to the standard just because it's easier to convert it further down the line for, tax purposes and whatnot. But, like the way I've learned between my different places, like the numbers in my head that I need to hit, like when I'm brewing, half of them are standard and half of them are metric, and it doesn't make any sense at all. But I don't know, just like one of these weird
I know
mistakes. And I'm sure it was the same thing when you guys first started up the 50 hectoliter system. It was just like these German dudes were in there like kind of showing everybody how it works, and just like, is this in gallons? Like what?
Yeah. It gets confusing, but also that's why sometimes there's an extra yield because somewhere they could have made one thing. So we'll be ready for an 80 keg batch, but then there's like 83, 84 kegs.
Well, especially when you make, a lot of beers we make are efficient type of beers like these lagers too. So, and let's say we don't make, we make 3 year-round amazing IPAs that are all very different. I don't think we have any tonight, but we have a year-round hazy IPA it's called Haze Fix. It's 5.5%, and it's a great kind of easy drinking hazy IPA that's really consistent, very shelf stable beer as well, and at a really competitive price point. We have Vulpulin, which is we call it a tropical IPA, and that beer is really interesting to me. I kind of think of it as like a no coast IPA because it has like the aromatic of like a really contemporary IPA, but it also uses like a blend of really like a couple classic hops in there. It's Citra, Mosaic, Centennial, and Cascade. And, it still has enough bitterness that you would expect from, kind of a classic IPA. And then we also have 113, which is kind of like, at this point, we kind of call it like classic IPA, legacy IPA. And, that beer was created in the mold of like Victory Hobdevil, Harpoon IPA, Dogfish 60 Minute, where you have the malty backbone. There's even a British.
I mean, you
hop
guys
in
have been
there.
around for 29 years. There's some people that have been drinking your beer for 29 years. Like, they're not up on like the new hazy IPAs, all the new crazy stuff that's happening. They want the same beer that's been put out for the last 20 years.
I'll do like events at distributors around this area, and I got some like old heads, like guys that I consider I'm old now too, but they come up and they're like, you should be sampling this beer, and then I look and they got a 12-pack of 113 IPA. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. They would keep that brand alive. It's a great beer. It's also it's a heavy hitter. It's 7%. It's our strongest beer in our core lineup. So
really, 7% is your strongest. I guess you guys are mostly lagers, so that makes sense.
Yeah. We just had the Incubus, which came out. That had a really quick run, especially draft. But then there's our Bach beers, which we could talk about Bach. But
I want to get into the Bach. I want to just take. I think lower ABV beers are so hot right now. There's so much talk on 0 ABV beers, which I think is the stupidest shit ever. Just
I had one on the way here.
Or seltzer.
Yeah, it's a bottle of water.
I mean, I don't understand it. It's like feel like I love beer more than everybody else, but it doesn't make any sense to me making non-alcoholic beer. But the lower ABV beer is like something that is super hot right now. Like, I think it makes sense. Like, it's drinkable. You're still getting like a little buzz, but it's like the no ABV beers. I think crazy. It costs more money to make.
Yep.
You're not using that as
more
like
money to
as
buy,
stuff,
too.
but it's like, and then it's more money to maintain because it doesn't have the alcohol there to protect it. You have to make extra process. You have like pasteurize the shit out of it or add extra stuff on it so it doesn't get infected. Yeah. And then the risk of it getting infected is like that much worse because it doesn't have the alcohol to protect it. So then like you're losing money to trash it. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense.
I'll be honest. Part of what we do is also being involved in marketing. Was one day I regretfully just mentioned the idea. Hey, have we ever thought about doing a non-alcoholic beer? And I don't think our brewer talked to
some
2 weeks. So there's a lot that goes into it. But like you're saying, well, I don't understand non-alcoholic either. But the fact that we don't understand it doesn't mean it won't sell. So we gotta innovate. And what we're doing, what we're good at is, like you said, low alcohol, and that's what's keeping us afloat. Because
I mean, I think it's kind of the same sentiment. It's just like, if you don't want to drink beer, like, you don't have to. Like, I don't think people are judging you for not drinking beer. Like, hot water, I think, tastes perfectly fine. And, like, you're not having to deal with it having like carbohydrates in it that can get infected. Like,
I don't understand it either, but it is killing it right now. I heard from somebody that Allagash is making the highest selling IPA regardless of alcohol.
I believe it. I know they're just growing.
Or in
and
terms
I mean,
of volume.
all the all the legalities of it are different. I think on the production side, you're held to a different level of scrutiny, like, legally. And then also,
I mean, as a brewer, the FDA isn't coming in and checking you because there is alcohol in it, so it protects you. So like, there's nothing in beer that can hurt the consumer. Besides, there's alcohol there, obviously, but there's nothing in it that can get you sick from an infection. Okay. When you don't have alcohol in it, then you can get infected, and then you can get like all these weird diseases that can actually kill you. Like, obviously, alcohol is poisonous essentially, but it's like it's there to protect you from these other things that are more dangerous.
Yeah. So it's like milk. It's like they treat it like milk.
Exactly.
Go figure.
Yeah, and I mean also the distribution network is different too. I'm pretty sure you can get, at least recently, I had some of our retail accounts that can get Athletic through the mail. There's not exclusive contracts.
It's funny you say that. We had Jake from Human Robot on last time, and he was telling us before the episode that the Underberg. Have you ever had Underberg shots? It's like
yeah.
It's like they come in like a little airport bottles. It's like little bitters. They're not considered alcohol. You can just buy them on Amazon. They're 44% alcohol, but they're considered a digestive, or they're considered like an ailment. Yeah. Whatever they're considered is like they're not regulated by
it's like pre-prohibition laws.
So it's like, I think they're just so disgusting that like they're like no one's gonna get drunk off these.
So it's like Listerine.
Yeah, exactly. So you can buy it on Amazon. I mean, I think who is it? Changi's or something sells it, and they're like the distributor in the area. But like, if you want to, you can just like go online and just buy it online.
Wow. And it's meant. It's not meant to like get you drunk.
No, people drink it at bars. Like, if you go to Human Robot, they push it very hard. I mean, they sell it at the Boozy Mutt. There's a lot of bars now that are pushing it, and it's like it's kind of like the new Fernets, but it's like you don't have to buy it through a traditional market.
Wow.
Yeah, the
I'm gonna call it PLCB and get cut down.
the beer. Well, that's been around forever. The beer yard and the Belgian bar. That group of guys, Chris Peters and beer yard people. They're all Underberg people too. I've been offered it, hungover. Like that's the
I mean,
setting
it's
you usually
gross. I
see
don't
it.
like any of those things
No.
like that for Nats. I can't get behind it. Like I understand like the appeal. Like some people like just something a little bit different and like digestive. It does make your stomach feel a bit weird, but like I can't do it.
It tastes like Jaeger and some gross, evil German root stuff mixed together. It's bad.
I
It's
think
very
so. I'm
bad.
30 years old. When I was 21, I hated IPAs. I think it was just like your taste buds evolve. Like the same thing as like taste of like
Oh yeah, it's like why would anybody drink?
individuals taste each evolve also. Like your taste buds change, and like from what I understand is when you're younger, you have more taste buds that can taste bitter things because like physiologically, like in nature, you were supposed to like not eat bitter things because they were poisonous.
It's a warning.
But then the older you get, you're like less sensitive to bitter things, and you're more sensitive, and you have more sweet taste buds, so that like you can taste the sweet things. You already know it's poisonous, but like you enjoy or you don't enjoy the sweet things as much. So it's like then you can show like the younger people. It's like a whole caveman evolution thing about like why your taste buds change. But like I hated IPAs when I was like 21. I like more bitter IPAs now, and maybe this is like Underberg is like kind of like 10 years from now. Like I'm actually gonna like it a lot. I hope, but I don't know. We'll
It's
see.
like hot sauce for me. I don't know about you guys. I can drink the whole bottle of that stuff. I couldn't touch it.
It's probably the
opposite.
same thing. I mean, your taste buds evolve.
Exactly.
I'm the opposite. I could eat the hottest thing as a kid, and I can't do Frank. I can't eat Franks now.
What?
Like it's like I'm like sweating and crying.
Yeah, we heard about your stomach issues.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Download the Let's Rally app to find fun, random things to do in and around Philly. Let's Rally plans your day or night for you. Just tell the app how many people you have at your party and how far you're willing to go. You can also add filters like bars, experiences, and food, and the app will create a plan for you instantly. Unthink today and download Let's Rally.
I do want to talk about the Bach beers.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is a good transition to Bach beers.
Yeah,
All right. So Bach beers, lagers are super hot right now. We talked the last couple episodes about beer festivals, and here you guys are with the Bach Fest that's been around for like, 20, 25 years?
Yeah.
And it is like the premier, I mean, we talk about Log Jam as like essentially like the premier beer fest in the area right now, but like the Bach Fest, the goat races have been the premier in not just Philly, but like the Mid-Atlantic region for 20 years. Like everybody, even if you haven't been there, you've heard of it.
Oh yeah, people come far and wide.
Yeah, well, I just want to jump in and introduce it as last year. So I usually work kind of like our VIP section for the Go Race. And I overheard somebody last year say that it was the most Pennsylvania event that they had ever seen. So I thought that was a perfect way to describe it. They probably don't even remember they said that, but I remember that. I'm like, that is a good way to describe the Bachfest and Go Race.
Can you just describe what it is? We're international now. We have some Mexican listeners.
Sure.
So can you just give like a little like description about what it is? I think everyone here knows what it is, but like now that we're an international podcast, we don't everyone know.
Well, it's good that you said international because it is technically the largest Bach beer festival in the world.
Really?
In the world.
Okay.
We could also say the same thing about our Can Jam because there's not a lot of other Can Jam tournaments, but it is the largest Bach beer festival in the world. But yeah, we make, I think we're up to 9 different Bach beers. I might even be cutting it short on that.
Yeah, I mean, over the years we've made probably more than that, but what's fun about it is obviously it's a Bach Fest, and we have a bunch of different amazing Bach beers, and usually the brewers will kind of get a little experimental. Like last year we made a Hopfenbach, which was it was a Hopfenbach, so it was like a dry hopped Bach,
Nice.
Helles Bach, I think. Yeah. So, but we also make a bunch of other, all the different niche style Bach beers that you can make. But in addition to that, we also host a goat race too. That's kind of the culmination.
So Bach
of the day.
is German. I mean, they had nothing to do in common. Like the Bach was already
Yeah.
out, and it was called Bach after like some town, but Bach means goat in
Yeah,
German.
it's like Einbeck, I think, is the town, and it was a dialect misunderstanding or something like that, where somebody said, whatever, the beer was. They were saying the beer was from this town, of this town, and in another dialect. And I mean, Germany is a place with very diverse type of city states.
Yeah.
To really call it all the same Germany is really they're all so very different. So somebody with a different dialect heard that, and they thought they were saying like billy goat. So that's kind of over time, that's how the goat got associated with Bach beers.
Yeah. Brian Rallie, when we were in Phoenixville, I believe, just had this idea that he heard of. I can't take credit for where he heard it, but they started the first Bach. No, actually, it was Phoenixville across the street, so where Liberty Union is now in Phoenixville. That's where we first were. They raced in that parking lot. I think 20 people showed up to the first boat race. And as of last year, we had to cap it at 3,500. I think one year we had 5,000 people show up. So that's what I mean by largest Bach beer festival in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he mentioned the goats. Goats far and wide, we get a lot of local goats, so we have plenty of goats and handlers to choose from. But I know before I got into beer, I heard about the goat races, and I was like, how do you this is like one of those pig pen races. I was like, that doesn't seem very, right or very nice to the animals. No, it's not like a pig pen race. These goats are basically like pets for these people. And the people are with them the whole time. So we start with a heat. Every time is a heat of 5 or 4, depending on how many goats we have. We're up to 52 this year.
52 goats?
52 goats. And their handlers registered. We're going to cap it at 60 because it's a little out of hand. The handlers are some of the wildest people I've ever met in my life. But the heats they start with all the goats going one heat at a time. And we work it in tournament style. By the time we get to the final heat, we have 5 goats that are the fastest goats.
Well, you have one goat that's the fastest goat, Jenny.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I should talk about her. Yeah, but I should mention that they do run. It's a 100-foot track, so it's not even that long. We switched it last year from uphill to downhill.
Okay.
Which changed everything. So the funny part about this race is a lot of goats don't even care about running in a straight line.
No.
They don't care about what their surroundings, mostly in
They
general.
just want to eat garbage.
Yeah, so you imagine 3,500 people are just watching 5 goats at a time do whatever the hell they want.
Yep.
And sometimes they'll fall asleep. Sometimes they'll, relieve themselves in the middle of the track, which makes for just a hilarious setup. And it's such a ride the whole time. Then when it comes down to the final goat, we award them and we name our Maibach after it. So that's our most celebrated Bach beer. It's the Bach of May, translation goes. It's been Princess Jenny Maibach for 3 years in a row. Because Princess Jenny has dominated the last 2 years. She retired.
Well, she didn't win the virtual goat race though.
In 2020, we did have a virtual goat race, which was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
How did that work?
We had our marketing guy put up a little cartoon, which was beautifully done. There's a whole hour YouTube on our YouTube channel about it. And the results were kept very secret because it did have to be predetermined. But by the end of it, one goat did win. People bought their goat, so they got to pick 13 and 50.
Sponsor goat, yeah.
And they came up with their own name. So then when that goat won, we picked out of the hat of all the names from that goat. You named it. I forget what we named.
I can't remember it either, but that's the one technicality about Princess Jenny. But yeah, it's really entertaining, and over the years we've been able to kind of really refine it to the point where it's really just a ton of fun. We have sponsors and bands and a lot of polka music, and there's trackside. Yeah, there's trackside seats. Yeah, a lot of polka covers of like every different style of like, rock and pop music that you could, any popular song, you'll hear a polka cover there.
I don't know if you've seen videos of it. We have a Jumbotron. We have a full stage.
I've seen it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, and what else is fun too? I might be co-emceeing it with you this year.
Yeah, so they asked me yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
Who I thought would be a good co-host. I've been the host for 4 years now. and I couldn't think of a better guy. Him and I have a podcast.
Yeah, well, I'll just gloss over that, but
Don't mention it.
what's fun is there's a VIP section for some of like our distribution customers and other good friends, and what I've when I kind of came in and started working with Sly Fox and did my first goat race, watching kind of the fans kind of and MCs come up with like heroes and villains and heels, and there's good guys and bad guys, and it's really has a little like WWE element to it at this point too. Yeah, there's a goat race Hall of Fame with inductees. They're one of the funnest. Like, you just never know what the goats are going to do. There's just this crowd of cheering people drinking bock beers, and there was this one. I mean, last year there was a goat that sprinted all the way to the finish line. So the way that it works is the goat has to cross the finish line before their handler does.
Can't be pushed, can't be carried.
Yep.
Can't be pulled.
Yep. And so it just literally stopped, like right in front of the finish line. Nobody was near it. And it's standing there, and everybody's like cheering it on, and it's just like, just stopping and like looking around. And then the other ones start to catch up. And like right at the very end, where he still could have, all he would have had literally take a step. He just turned around and sprinted the other way.
Yeah, and then that was last year, and last year was the closest race we've ever had, to the point where we had our first race off. We had, in the final run, two goats came so close by a hoof that we couldn't determine who the winner was. So for the first time, we had the two of them just race it out. And Princess Jenny, who was coming back from retirement just for this race against a rookie, came through for the final win. So it was very celebrated.
Champion heart right there.
It's certainly a spectacle, and I encourage anybody to get tickets now, because I think we're already halfway sold out, and it's going to be a great time. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's I mean, you guys found a niche, and it's just like you guys kind of leaned into it, and like it's dumb, but it's so funny, and it's like,
very stupid. Yeah.
I mean, you guys attract 3,500, 5,000 people every single year, and it's just like, it's iconic. Every single person, or everyone that's kind of into beer in the Philadelphia area and beyond, like, I mean, the whole Mid-Atlantic region knows Sly Fox.
Yeah, and community too, because we reach out to, like I said about Alex's, we like to be involved in the community. We have SRT, which donates to the Schuylkill River Trail. So we like all of our surrounding people to come and sort of celebrate beer with us, instead of just supplying beer across.
Yeah, we had for many years, I believe, we had buses from Troegs Brewing that would come out.
They
people
have
from
goats.
Troegs. Yeah.
They bring goats in. I think it was Troegs, or was it Victory? I can't remember. They would every year.
They actually had their own goats.
Yeah, they bring their own goats.
Yeah, I know one of the Phoenixville breweries.
Stable 12.
That's right.
Stable 12.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good
Shout out
time.
to Ricky.
Yeah, so I won't be able to look at my phone too much that day, but make sure you show up.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time.
Oh, because you guys had Meredith, which, by the way, a shout out to her, because we didn't start ticketing until we brought Meredith in, and she makes it so that when we show up, when the goat races start, everything is just,
it's crazy.
a fine-tuned machine. It just makes.
I mean, that's the beauty of Meredith. Like, we had her on, and like, I'd sing her praises all the time, and it's like, I don't think that people that aren't actually working in the industry like understand all that goes into it, and it's like these events will not be possible. It's not like just the goat races. It's like all these giant events that are all like very great, and like kind of everybody in the whole region like applauds them. It's like she puts them together, so like the people at the breweries can just focus on like being themselves and like kind of showing people a good time. They don't have to worry about all the bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and when you show up, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. And the coolest cucumber in the whole bunch is Meredith. She just sitting with a clipboard being like, yep, here's what's happening now.
She's
Here's what's happening
a
now.
consummate professional. She knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, especially this industry, everybody is very casual, and that's great. There's a lot of that's great about that, but it takes a really special person to be able to organize these types of events. And we're talking about like dealing with the borough, and I mean, it's not just let's just
it's a fine line between like being the chill, cool beer guy and like actually being able to like handle all this and like being in charge of drunk people. It's like
because 2 days before that, him and I are putting up fences and arranging chairs, and she's just like I said, cool as a cucumber.
Well, the first few years, behind the scenes a little bit, the first few years that she worked with us, it was like, honestly, like at every turn, it was like shocking. Like you're just, I mean, literally that date is circled on our calendars for the whole year.
Oh, by
and
the way,
kinda,
it's Sunday, May 5th.
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah, Sunday,
Always-
May 5th.
Yeah.
always the first Sunday in May every year, right after the Kentucky Derby, every year. And it is, we absolutely love doing it, but it's definitely a serious commitment. A lot of us will get in, Thursday, Friday before, and it's a lot of work that goes into it. And
A lot of fun too. Though.
yeah, it's definitely fun. And it's, it's just been really almost shocking how like ahead, at every turn it's like, oh, we got to do this. And then it's like, oh, it's done. It's like that
That's
took some
what
adjusting.
was supposed to happen. Charge of it. Yeah.
That took some adjustment, but it's, I mean, she's
Which for the MC, being on a microphone in front of 3,500 people, you don't really have time to look at it. But all I have to do is stand there. Basically, it makes my job so easy.
Well, it makes everyone that goes there, it makes it much more enjoyable for them as well.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like those crazy drug commercials, and it's like the people are just free now, and it's like, take this stuff and you'll be happy and cool, and you just worry about your beautiful surroundings, and that's how it is.
Yeah, it makes everybody's job so easy. So, yeah, I mean, and then
Without the side effects.
right. Well, some sort.
No, she's amazing, truly.
Yeah. Yeah, we also have another event which we just had to postpone, which sucks, until October. I was splitting wood with my friend like 3 years ago, and he was like, "Hey, you got that whole field, the Sly Fox, which is where we have a goat race. You should have a lumberjack competition." I've been to one before in Poconos. I was a kid. I was like, "Yeah, let's see if that works." I pitched it. They were like, "Yeah, this is a good idea. Let's, we have a lot of time in the calendar, so let's put it aside." This year was the year they decided, this is what we're going to do. So Flannels and Flames was the name of the event.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be March 23rd, but unfortunately that day it poured rain the entire time. So a few days before we postponed it till October. So still flannel season, still going to
I
be
think
good.
it'll be better.
Right, more
I feel
like seasonal.
it's more, that's more of a fall thing anyway.
Yeah, and the flame part of that is that we have a bonfire too. So
Cool.
we're going to have like a 50-foot bonfire. We cleared it with the fire department. They're supporting it. They're going to be there. But yeah, it's a spectacle just like the goat race. You're going to be able to show up at 12 noon, watch the best lumberjacks in PA do their thing. There's a grand prize at the end, and then we use all that wood. We'll set it on fire.
Nice. No, zero waste.
Yeah. So we're going to have a beer about that too. But like I said, we had to postpone it. So tickets are only $10. It's really just a spectacle. People to enjoy.
Nice. So you guys have these events now. So, I mean, Sly Fox has been around for 29 years. Like, where do you guys see kind of Sly Fox going? I mean, you guys just moved to Pittsburgh. Like, that's, you kind of coming on to Sly Fox was probably a big part of that, and kind of expanding in, like, kind of all the growth you guys had. Is the idea that you guys are going to keep expanding? Is it just focus on the lagers? Like, what is Sly Fox doing right now?
Well, I was going to say, as far as the pubs go, we're
Yeah.
more on the distribution side.
Okay.
So the pubs we let them worry about, which is
Aye.
a lot to worry about.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing a damn good job at it too. But as far as beers go, no, we're going to stick with the core. We do have a new year-round IPA coming out, which we just got the label approved between all of us
Cool.
earlier this week. It's going to be coming out in August or so. So like I said, we're always innovating. We're always following the trends. So we are still a very relevant brand. So no, in addition to our core, we're going to have some new year-round beers too. We're excited
Nice.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think at the age of 29 for a brewery, you kind of feel like very comfortable and confident with like what you are as a brewery. And the only thing I'll say about that IPA is I think it's really on brand for Sly Fox. I think it'll click in people's mind when they see it. Not just from a style perspective, but from a brand, from a marketing perspective too. So I'm really anxious to launch this beer. And our team too at Sly Fox, everybody has been there for a long time, and I think we all kind of have a good idea of, again, just really good self-awareness of like, what Sly Fox is and what it means, and what kind of legacy we carry. It's not really legacy in craft brewery, like kind of don't go together that often. It's really unique that we kind of have that.
No, it's real. I mean, from my perspective, like I'm in the midst of trying to open up my own brewery. We just had Carbon Copy on that just opened. We just had Kenwood on that just opened. We've had Philadelphia Brewing and you guys now that have come on, and it's like a different perspective. Like you talk about, like you guys know who you are after 29 years. Like Sly Fox has this identity, so like you guys aren't chasing the trends every year. You guys have a base of people that have been buying Sly Fox for 29 years. Mm-hmm. For you guys to come out with some crazy new thing, obviously, like, it might be exciting, but a lot of your guys' sales are people that are, like, religiously drinking Sly Fox all the time.
Yeah, because they get the same beer every time.
Exactly. Consistent. And they are, kind of married to that brand. So, like, the sales that you guys and probably the perspective that you guys have for selling these beer to people is probably a lot different than, like, these, I don't call them flash in the pan, but like these like startup newer breweries that are trying to like convince people, are trying to like essentially establish their image. You guys have already established your brand, and it's just kind of building upon that and kind of giving the people what they want and what they expect.
Yeah, and like you said, you're not sure if a new craft beer can have a legacy, but I think it's interesting if you look at how much beer has changed in the last 20 years and how our number one seller is still just a gold lager. So to me, that legacy title is true because, our number one seller is still a very easy drinking.
For sure. And as a regional brewery, I mean, you guys are the largest brewery that we've had on here by far. Like, you guys have, there's a lot of people, like when you think about like the newer craft breweries, like there's not many people that are like, sitting down every single night and drinking. I mean, maybe they are drinking a human robot beer for the last like 4 years every single night at dinner. There's probably many households in Pennsylvania that are drinking Sly Fox maybe every night at dinner, maybe every night when they sit down and watch the nightly news, maybe every night when they like go to the ballpark. I don't want to come out as
I love
the
it.
Old person thing, but it's like it's you guys have this following that you guys have been building it for 29 years. It's a different perspective of like kind of the people that you guys are going after. And so
you're right.
We have a customer, an Ambler, who has our beer on tap in his house. We've had a permanent line there for I think 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, what I think is so cool about craft beer in general, and obviously, like I, feel very fortunate to be working in this industry because I'm definitely a beer fan as well. And that's what's amazing about craft beer at this point, especially in this town where it's permeated the pop culture so much more than your average town. Like, no matter where you turn, there's just a higher baseline expectation of craft. And what comes with that, I think, is really like a time and a place for everything. And, we, among our duties is tastings at, retailers, beer distributors, grocery stores. And one thing that I see is, we might be a 12-pack, 12-ounce can lager brewery that people pick up. But that's in addition to a 4-pack of, something new or something that something that they're going to go for trial like that. That's what's awesome to me about craft beer is like there really is. And, even for myself, like there's a time and a place for all these different beers that are out there. And I think a lot of consumers kind of dabble in a lot, as many of them as they can. So I think it just all depends on kind of the set and setting that you're looking for. But that's the great thing, as a consumer, it's awesome to kind of have that choice. And
I mean, it's the term craft beer, like this is a craft beer podcast. And like, so maybe I'm just like crucifying myself saying this, but it's like this, I think at some point, like the term craft beer is going to go away. It's just, this is American beer culture.
Yeah.
Like the fact you guys have been around for essentially 30 years, and it's just like this is what beer culture is. And like you guys are now a regional brewery in what the American beer culture is.
Yeah, thanks for saying it. You're saying nothing wrong.
No, what I love about it is like, a lot of like, European countries and stuff have definitely stuck their nose up to a lot of American culture, but when you see European breweries making styles that started here, like that's pretty impressive.
I mean,
man.
they're looking at it, it's just like it's
yeah.
It's not a flash in the pan thing. It's not a trend.
Yeah.
This is here to stay.
Yeah.
And it has staying power, like you said, because it's a light drinking beer, like lower alcohol. So I always like to think that a good beer drinker, if you want to appear as a good beer drinker, it's always like a 4-pack of something you're really interested in, and then a 12-pack of Pilsner and Helles. That's
For sure. I mean, they talk
Yeah.
like the larger, the longer you kind of are in craft beer, and kind of like the larger breweries that kind of like have been doing this for generations upon generations. You know, like they talk about like the consistency of the flavor, and like as much as like you can put out new beers, but like each individual beer needs to be consistent. Like kind of like that's like selling, you know, what I've heard, like my old bosses that have worked at Budweiser and like Anheuser-Busch, all these other places, that like they talk about like the 6-pack challenge. Essentially, like you go home at night with a 6-pack of beer, and like, can you drink 6 of those same beers?
Oh, right. That's a
You
good
know,
point.
It's just like, you know, what you're talking about, like, you know, like you might buy like a 4-pack of something crazy, but like at the end of the day, you're still buying a 12-pack of Sly Fox beer because it's consistent, it's low ABV, you're getting what you're getting, and it's just like, you know, it's always in your cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like a question of like who brought these 12 like crazy peanut butter beers.
Yeah, a lot of these breweries and like these brands like come and go, but like when you go to a tailgate, you know, Penn State, you know, anywhere, when you go anywhere and there's Sly Fox beer there, you know, like I don't need to, when I go to some tailgates, I bring craft beer, and it's like a lot of times like my friends' dads will be like, the hell is this? You know, it's like they know what Sly Fox is, and everybody's grabbing it, and it's just like it's like one of those things where it's become a staple in the whole Mid-Atlantic region, not just Philadelphia, but the whole. You know, I mean, out in Pittsburgh, and then like, you know, what your distribution is what in Puerto Rico we talked about before this.
We distribute beer in Puerto Rico as well, and put a lot of extra energy and effort into getting really fresh beer down there too. By the way. Which is an extra challenge, but also all of the state of Maryland, New Jersey, some parts of New York State, and a little bit in Illinois as well. But, you know, really I think where we are the most relevant is, like you said here, kind of Mid-Atlantic, and really mainly Pennsylvania. I think that's where our brand kind of resonates the most. And, you know, I try to keep a couple $5 off, you know, $20 or more purchases for some of our pubs, and you know, you can only $5 is only going to make people drive so far. So you give someone in Illinois, like, there's like, what am I gonna do
I'm
with
here in
this?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
$5 off.
everywhere you know, our focal point is everywhere that, you know, that $5 actually means something. If that makes
That's a good way to look
sense.
at it.
Yeah.
That's
So, but yeah.
A lot of people that we see samplings at, like I just did one in, or was it Boyersford? They were like, oh yeah, I had my wedding there, or it's nice to hear. And I'm like, wow, you guys are still out here doing the thing. So yeah, we're still out here busting our asses, for, you know, lack of better words, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what always, you know, kind of what you touched on a little bit earlier, like what always brings me back is, you know, the types of beers that we make is what I like. That's my favorite way to drink, and I think that, you know, the lower ABV stuff, the easier drinking stuff that doesn't have the super pronounced, like, beat you over the head flavor.
It's got the nuanced flavors.
Yeah, it's something that, like, it's a different experience, and like I think in everybody's craft beer journey, you know, I sometimes kind of think of it as like an analogy of like cars. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're young, you want like an impractical fast car, like a Corvette, something that can drive really fast in a straight line. Everything else about it is completely impractical. And I think that's like, you know, the fruited kettle sours, or like the, you know, really expensive, you know, locally brewed, really good in the first 2 weeks, hazy IPAs. And look, if that's the stuff, I think if that's the stuff that gets people in the door and gets them into this community, you know, we have some lagers for you when you're ready. Yeah. And what I love about it, just like you said, you brought up, you know, being at a tailgate or something, like it's not, and don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for beers that are the focal point of the night too, but like what's so great about these types of beers, and there's a reason people have been drinking these kind of beers for a really long time, it's like the social lubricant. It enhances your, you know, your activity, whatever you're doing. It's not going to be the focal point. Like, it's just a beer in your hand that you can have 4, 5, or 6 of.
And it's like the people that are drinking them, like you go to a tailgate, like, you know, the people are proud to be drinking Sly Fox. You know, it's like the same way, like, you know, Philadelphia being a city, it's just like it's a more fast-paced environment. Like people brands come and go. It's like because Sly Fox is in Pottstown, it's Chester County, right? Chester County, Montgomery County.
Montgomery, yep.
Yeah, wherever. It's like there's thousands of households all over Pennsylvania that are like proudly drinking Sly Fox and like proudly taking it to their tailgates at Penn State. They're bringing it out. And it's like they've been doing so for 15, 20 years. And it's a part of, Sly Fox has now been like ingrained with all these other breweries where it's like it is a part, it's like not just as a part of the beer culture, it's like it's being a part of the culture of being in this area.
Yeah. And the fact that, we still got feet on the ground. We got our guy Lee, and shout out to Lee. It's our central PA guy. We're everywhere in the state.
Yeah.
We're always out there trying. So, if you got some lead for us, if somebody wants to try our beer, just reach out because we're out there doing it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, maybe not a lead, but a shout out, I definitely want to shout out all our pubs too. We have, we mentioned we have 6 pubs. Obviously we have
2 in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we have the 2 in Pittsburgh.
Where are they? Just Pittsburgh, downtown?
Well, they're both within the city limits,
Okay.
which was our first tap rooms in an actual, in the city, so to speak. And one of them is in it's on Liberty Avenue, right at the point. If you're looking at like the skyline of Pittsburgh, from dead on, and there's kind of the 2 rivers come together. One of the buildings right in that front, cityscape. We're right there.
Cool.
It's called the Riverview Apartments, and we have the bottom floor there. It's really small space, 1,600 square feet, but it's a great spot if you're in the city, you want to grab a quick lunch, you can get in and out really quick, and it's all Sly Fox beers, a ton of drafts, some to-go stuff as well. Them, along with all the other 5 tap rooms, have rotating pizza ovens, our specialties like 11-inch personal pizzas, and that place, 1,600 square feet, kitchen included, so it's really impressive what they're able to get out of that kitchen for having such small space. There's no fryer, there's no there's no flat top, there's no saute pans or burners, and they got a pretty good, really big menu for a place where you're like literally, it's very little space to work.
And every time I go there, the staff is so friendly. I mean, of course, like we're employees together, but they've been so accommodating. Every pub we have, the people we hire, including ourselves, we're all they do it right. They hire people with passion. They hire people that are ready to make people happy and feel very hospitable.
I agree. And our Pittsburgh people, that's the beginning of the Midwest. So, the
What
politeness and the kindness.
What do they call the belt to the Midwest or something?
I don't know. Something.
No, but we also have Malvern, which is awesome. We have live music there every Tuesday. Why I'm Missing just opened a virtual golf place in the basement. It's called the Fox.
Really?
Which is awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah. Virtual
Some
golf.
golf sims down there. Yep.
Yeah, we have shuffleboard. We have darts. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's got a really cool lounge feel too. Like there's some couches, and the whole space. When it's busy, the whole space. There's people across the whole thing. There's a little special bar menu, and you can also order off the regular food menu as well. A smaller bar down there, I mean that's a cool town. Like there's so many little awesome little taverns down there that you really would be surprised to see the awesome craft beer selection that all those places have. And Why I'm Missing's great. And it's I think it's an older brick building.
There's a knitting mill. So they made clothes there at one point, I've read.
Oh wow, yeah. But it's really, I think it's probably from a showroom floor perspective, it is definitely the prettiest looking. It has probably the biggest bar we have, a big U-shaped bar, and it's just really, really presented, really nice. The other Pittsburgh location is in Southside. Some people might be familiar with East Carson Street, is kind of like Bar Row in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Although this is much closer to Station Square, which is less Bar Row part of Southside. It's not, it's not the same raucous area. That's several blocks down from where we're at.
I mean, that's a different vibe than the brewery crowd.
Yeah. And I think they've done a good job of cleaning it up too there. But we kind of went bold and went into a newer development, which it's called the High Line, and similar to the New York City's High Line, where you kind of walk down a corridor with two big kind of twin buildings on each side.
Yeah.
It's a historic landmark. It was the biggest freight terminal between like New York City and Chicago at, you know, in like 1905 or something like that. So it definitely has like a really kind of industrial vibe to it. There's a train car outside. We have a big common area that you can take your food and beer out to. It's all our places are, this one specifically, when the weather's nice, pet friendly, family friendly. There's a ton of like interactive games outside in that common area. It's actually right on the bike trail, which is part of the larger, it's part of the Three Rivers Heritage Trail. It's part of the bigger Gap Trail that goes like through the Allegheny Mountains, Appalachian Mountains rather. And it's along the Monongahela River, which is the river I live, you know, a little bit further east up the river. But yeah, and then so you mentioned Malvern. I think that's probably our newest location. That's part of like a new...
Why Missing?
Why Missing's newer?
A little newer, yeah. We opened Malvern in 2020, which was, you know, a great idea. And Why Missing was soon after that, I believe. Father's Day of 2021. Well, the great thing about all of our pubs is that even though our founder started in Phoenixville and went to Williamsburg up there, went Pottstown, there's a good chance that when we show up, you're going to see one of the owners and one of the founders, if not us or somebody else. We're all very passionate about what we do, and that's because of the culture that the G's have really grown. It's awesome.
Yeah, very on brand.
Yeah. And I've always said the best bar owners are the ones that are actually at the bar.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
especially in Philadelphia. You know, so these guys they're doing it right. They're walking the walk.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool. Do you guys have anything? I mean, Bachfest. I mean, we can plug Bachfest all day.
Yeah.
Go races.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Anything else you guys want to plug? I mean, any beers or anything you guys have coming up?
Well,
I guess this just came out. The
yeah,
Alice's Lemonade.
that just came out. The
Alice's
Raspberry Lemonade came out.
Slugger's the next newest one.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about that. So that's in the stadium. So
This is in the stadium?
yeah, we worked with the Phillies. We got that in the stadium for the third. Actually, 2020 was the first year we got it in, which naturally didn't happen. But since then, our agreement and our relationship with the Phillies has been strong.
Nice.
We have that in, I counted like 18 different stands in the stadium.
Oh, wow. So it's
Yeah.
actually legitimately in the stadium.
Oh,
Some
yeah,
people are like
wow.
in the stadium,
Well,
but it's just like,
yeah.
come check us by 318.
No. We have
Yeah.
we have signage. We have all
Alright,
that. So
nice.
Well, what's
Yeah.
cool is like, you know, I've been fortunate enough to kind of travel around, and I definitely got to call out that the craft beer that's available at that park is, you know, really, that's not common at an event venue to have that level of, I mean, you know, nowadays there's craft
Fest
beer.
every year that has like thousands.
that's the best one.
Yeah, it's like
That's the
Yeah.
best one.
I've never been there. Evan and Cole went there this past year, and they came back and they're like, that was the coolest beer fest I've ever been to.
Yeah, it's effective.
Not
It's in and out.
They have not been to
No,
races.
the beer
Go
sampling
races.
festival. We
Yes,
should say.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, right.
No, but yeah, it's an unfiltered pill, so we thought exactly what you would want to kind of eat Cracker Jacks and watch the game with, and it's
Nice.
been doing
It's perfect.
incredibly well. It's one of the top selling beers at the stadium.
Cool.
Good relationship with Aaron Mark. Hi to Rich McFate, who's been one of my best friends. Very, very big supporter of the
Nice.
brand.
Is
But
that
yeah,
what the stadium is like? It's just Aramark kind of runs it, but they are also in charge of the beers there as well?
it's a little more than that. You have a relationship with the Phillies, and then the Phillies side,
Gotcha.
you know, who they want to work with, and then once that does happen, that's when you knock on Rich's door. And,
Yeah,
you know.
hey.
So yeah, and you know, all the guys, Scott Nickel working with the Phillies has been amazing. He's a big fan of the brewery, and we do events with him all the time. So it is a very organic, very friendly, trusting relationship. I've been out with Scott plenty of nights where it's been a little wild. We do a lot of promo events, and I could say that the Phillies know what they're doing. They have the, you know, the brand that they have because of.
I mean, it is, you know, one of the best run, you know, baseball, you know,
Absolutely.
back offices, you know, organizations there is.
100%. And I was just at the I got to go to the home opener, so seeing all of our beer in all the different stands was just so. And you know, I was sending it to Peter and his dad and saying, "Look, we did it!" And those guys are just the biggest baseball fans in the world, so they're so incredibly proud. We go there once a year, we have a big party. It's the best.
It's cool.
Baseball season's amazing. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. But it's an unfiltered pill. It's a very good beer. The liquid speaks for itself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. Where can we find Sly Fox, I guess, online? At Sly Fox. At
Sly Fox Beer.
Okay. On Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Yep. And then I try to post all my events. I'm
Cool.
at Sly Fox Ryan.
Cool.
Yeah, this has nothing to do. You can tag me in mine. Is Keith Maynard. It's embarrassing.
People think it's his real last name.
Yeah, they do. It's not.
There was a guy, speaking of baseball, there was a guy on the Pirates that his nickname was the Wayner.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Lots of Pittsburgh news today.
Yeah, thanks for doing this with us, guys.
Yeah, of course. We will see you guys May 5th, and everybody should check it out. Like we said, like one of the premier, best beer fests, not just in the Philadelphia area, but across the whole country. The largest Bach fest in the whole world. Yeah. Great. So you can find us at BrewedAt at the BrewedAt podcast at BrewedAt, and see you guys in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Love it.